we'll just improve the concept here, which we have just seen something like, we have just rebuilt it and we have run that and today right. So we got the site, and when we entered something, right, so the complete thing was loaded, and we have seen something called small web component which we have developed on it, right. So here two parts we have seen anyways. So today we'll just improve the same concept over here. Let me just edit this page and let us keep one component so that will not be that's fine. Let's go with the same thing whatever is there, not a problem. Info institute. So what we have seen is, if we type something in here, if you click on this, it will be acting as two different parts over here, tree and just say leaf. Just so again these two are two different entities. It acts as two different entities here, right. So let me just let's move on and now do some operations here. So what we have done is, we have just taken this and we have just pasted here, right. So now we'll do one thing. We'll just say I want to give some value here, and I'll take one more text box. Now we'll just try to print a sum of two numbers. So we'll create a web component which will give you a small calculator where you can sum two numbers here, right. So let me just take up, so this is text box 2. You can see the name here. So this is your properties window, right. So you can see this one is your text box 1, so this one is your text box 2, right, text box 1 and 2, and this is button. So button, let me just change the name as sum. So now you have this sum here. Let me resize this button, right. Now you have label. So I want to print this to whatever value I give, I want to print the sum of that on click of my button, right, and I want to show it here. Let's do that. So again you have to go back to the same here, right, and what you have to do is, you have to handle all these things in something called integers before doing all this. So let's say int I have a is equal to, I'll take text box 1 dot text, right. So here I have to convert it. So int dot parts. So these are some .NET coding standards actually which I'm using. I'm converting my string to integer because two strings cannot be added up. So that's why we are taking text box 2 dot text here, right. So here what I'll get the text box 1. I'm converting the value of string to integer, plus the text box 2, I'm converting the value of this to int. Now I'm adding two different integers and those are in my a, right, and I'll be printing my a over here. It's very simple anyways. A here a dot toString. I'm converting again to toString so that we want to see the output over here, right. So we have done a simple operation here, which is we have done written some logic to add up two numbers here which will give the result and will be printing on web part label here, right. Let us rebuild this solution and let us see how it works. Let me run this up. And let it open now. Yeah, it opens a page, right, and give the password there, right. Yeah, so we are in our page. Let's go back to info institute. Right here, whenever you change something and when you try to deploy it, we have already seen here that it deletes the old component, it will take the new component. See here, it is automatically will reflect over here. Let me give some 20 here and some 12 here. Let me click on sum. Can you see this, right? We got a sum of two numbers here. So which is, I can use a small web part where I can get some sum of two numbers, right? I can make it any way. It doesn't it will work for anything. 123 plus 20 is 143, right? And the same thing will work as different component even here. 45 plus 55, just sum up, right? So here you can see these two will act as a two different components at all. So there is no this is a separate instance and this is a separate instance which we have. So so both does the same functionality, which is nothing but sum. And here if you are seeing something called cross, right? This is nothing but this is for a .NET text box, which you click on this, it will be clear. That's it. Nothing but. And this is nothing but auto save. Like in .NET, if you enable your browser with auto save, like you would have seen this in your Gmail while browsing through IE, or whenever you enter a username, you will get these things, right? It will be saved. So that is the same thing here. We are not doing anything here. It is saved. A browser itself is enabled with auto save. That's why whatever values we gave, it was just saved here. So in this text box we have saved these two. That's why it is getting these two. If you can see here, if I delete this, you can see only one value because we have done this. Let me add one more 25 and click on sum. Right now I got the sum here. When I delete this, you can see two numbers. It all grows as such, as if as in then you add a value, right? Again close it up and see we are having 3. This is something which is done by your browser actually. It is same for it doesn't matter whether your client or whatever language you are using, like .NET or Java, but if you enable it, it will save your data, past data for you, right? So that's how. So whenever you say clear cookies, or I mean whenever you say whenever your browser gets slow, that means that all your data will be accumulated for each and every site, and it will overhead your browser. That's when we say that we have to clear some data. So that's why we clear something called cookies, all the form data and everything. Then your browser will again become faster, right? So that's one part here. So we have done some operation now here, and after doing some operation we have printed something here, right? So let us see some more thing here. Let me close this up because we have to get back to our page. Right now let me take one component, one more big component here, and let us see what happens to that. Which means I just got we are just enhancing our component, because any component won't be this small. It will be some some bigger ones, and you have to do multiple operations, DB operations or file operations and everything we have to do, and our component should be so powerful. But anyways, we'll be checking out one main powerful one, which is file interaction, external file interaction. Whenever you change data, how it reflects in SharePoint, I'll show you that. But let me just add something called calendar here. You have everything like direct here. You don't have to create anything separately in .NET. You have direct direct controls here, which is I've just taken my calendar control here, right? And I'll just say the format. I'm just taking some views here. You can select any other view, whatever you want. You can select some view. Okay, so it will just give some lookup here. Now what I want to do is, whatever date I'm selecting here, let me just give some back gap. Whatever value we are selecting here, I mean whatever date I'm selecting, I want to print it here. And whatever sum I'm doing, I also want to print it here in the same label, right? So when I'm doing operation called sum, I want to show that value, and when I select some date, I want to show that date here, right? So this is what we want now. So for that, what you have to do is so it's very simple. Again, this is a calendar, right? If you see the properties here, you will have some events here. So selection change, there are so many things in here. Like if you just click on that, you will get some calendar selection change here. So let me do something like label1 dot text is equal to my calendar, which is calendar1 dot selected date dot, I can say, to string direct, which is I just wanted to convert my current date. Now let's see, we have just added a control. What we are doing is we are just enhancing our web component to multiple controls here. That's it, right? And now what we are doing is, one control is being used for displaying to multiple results here, right? Now let me rebuild this solution and let me run this. Let's see what happens now. see here, you can see it first deletes the old one, and it first deletes the old one and try to add the new one here. So that's why it always will get refreshed, right? So let us see what happens here. Let's go for info institute here. Now can you see? So we have got a calendar here, which are, again, we had two different parts here, which is, so both are, not same as per the operations are concerned, but data can be same. So the data can be same, I'll show you when we actually connect to the common data. Here when we saw something called courses and batches, the data part is common here. So we have created data here. So that's why whenever we try to modify something, both used to change. That is data part. But here what we are just touching upon now, we haven't touched upon data part, because data part is very important for a web component, and the data should be common data. So we'll be checking out after this one, right? And let me do some operation here again. Let me check some 20, right? And let me do some, take some again 12, and let me click on sum. Now you got a sum here, right? In the same way, just let me select some date here, 17. Can you see here? It got changed. What I have done is I've used the same label to to handle two different operations. One is sum. When we made some sum of two numbers, it displayed, and when I how did you get two parts of data? What do you mean by two parts of data, Trupti? Here I didn't get you. Two parts of data in the sense? I mean here two parts of data in the sense, when I click on sum, this is one part here, which means I just did sum, so it will display the sum of these two numbers, right? So this result is for this operation. Now what I'm doing is I'm clicking on my date 18 here. It will display the 18 date, 18th, right, April 2013, and the default time here. It's a time. It's a time till seconds, and it's showing AM PM. This completely is the result of the click of your date. If you click on 3, it will show you 3rd April. Fine. I hope this is what you are asking, Trupti, right? So in the same way, if you do it here, something like, let me take 25 and sum. So this will be exclusive again, because this is a separate web part we have taken, and click on sum 30th of April, and it will show you the corresponding date. So we have used the same different, we are just enhancing our thing to multiple operations here. That's it. Fine, Trupti, you understood what we are doing now? Did I answer your question of two parts of data here? Yes, no, didn't understood something, you can say, Trupti? Okay, fine, I'll take it as yes, right? Now let me so we have seen, yeah, okay, cool. So here till now what we have seen is, we have seen till complete handling how actually we can do something called view part, and some operations part, and how to display, how to actually handle a web part through .NET, and how to deploy them, and how to make it exclusive, right? we sorry, we are having two exclusive results here anyways, right? Which is not colliding with anyone, right? Now let us generate something which will give you the common part of data, right? So for common part of data, let me take a file now, right? Let me just create a file now, one file which can be, right, one file here, which is let me say I'll give some words, some words here. Let me take it as some world, right, tree, right, or some cup, something. I just gave 3. So what I want to do is, I'll just save this up in some my computer direct to D here. I'll just say info some info.txt, right? Now, so you can also have a database anyways, right? But anyways, we don't have, what do you say, static data part. So we can also, do some data part using files, right? So here what I've done is I have some different words here. I want to show these words in my SharePoint, right? I want to show this data to guys in SharePoint, and I want guys to modify this data. And whenever you modify or add this data to this document, I want to see it affecting in each and every part, right? So that is our task now. Now let us see how can we do that, right? This is one more very important thing which we can do, and this is how we actually work with something called data modifications or reporting and all, right? This will be the baseline for that. So now let me take something, one more control call here. So what I want to show is I want to show each and every data here. So let me take a list box where I can show all these things like world, tree, cup in some list box. List box is nothing but it shows the complete list items, right? Let me take something like list box here, drag and drop here, right? Now, so again what I am doing is, okay, let me take one more component, otherwise, so that we won't be it won't be you won't be confused, right? Let me create one more. Let me close this up, right? Close all close all, right? Let me create one more control, which is add new item. So add a visual part. Now I would say this, that's my data web part, right? Let's take something, my data web part, add, right? So here we'll be getting the same thing again. Go to design part, right? So here we'll get something called list box here, list box, right? And let me just drag it up. You can reshape here. Now what I want to show is, I want to show the list of items here. Simple. First let us do a simple part here, which is I want to show the whatever is in this file, which is in my server. Let us say this is my server and my file is in d-info-text. I want to show it in this component, which will be again rendered to my SharePoint. Let's do that, right? So here what I'll do, I'll go to my code. How to code is right click and you can say view code. So this is my code part. So whenever this control loads, what I want to do is I want to show some file data. Let me write that in separate method, public void, let us say get file data, something get file data, right? So what I'll do, I'll just take some here. What we want to do is we want to read the file first and then get the data from file and show it in my screen. Now let me just take up some case try catch here, which is I'm handling some exception here, right? So what I'll do, I'll just say stream reader. Okay, fine. I have to include some using system.io. I've just taken something here and I'll say stream reader. First I'll take stream reader, lobj reader is equal to null. First null. Let me say string path, lstr path. So path is nothing but, so what I have to take, I have to take the same path which where I have saved it here, where it's here, my info, right? So let me just say d info.txt, right? This is my file anyways, right? Info.txt, right? Now let me create a reader here, which is lobj read is equal to new stream reader of some, you can give the path here, lstr path. So I'm assigning to that path. Now what I'll do, I'll take some string here which is I'll take it as line, is equal to first as null, right? What I'll do, while my line, so till end, what I'm doing is I'm creating a reader. Anyways, reader is nothing but, you know, whenever you have file, I'm pointing my file to nothing, something called stream reader, right? So stream reader is something which is used to read files in .NET, right? I'm just pointing my reader to this. What I'm doing is I'm looping something. I'm looping each and every line. I want to read line by line here, so I'm using while is nothing but looping your string. I'll just say lstr line is not equal to null until it is not null. I'll go inside and I'll just say, so here I'll just check whether if my lstr line is not equal to null, right? I'll just say something here, list box, we have list box 1 dot items dot, sorry, we want to add items, add of, I'll just say inside I want to add some list item, sorry, list item, right, of my data, which is lstr line. So I've just added one. Now where do we get this line? We will get this line from my reader. This is my reader, so this is pointing to this file, right? Is equal to lobj reader dot, we can say read line. It will give us a line. We just took this and we just added some things here. Okay, let me just write finally here. Finally is nothing but to close your reader, which is, so now we have, whenever you say new stream reader, which means we have opened this file, logged it, and we are trying to read each and every data here. So once you are done with this data, what you have to do, you have to do something called close this reader, which is you can close this in the way, right? Just say if it is not equal to null. So how to close this? Just say dot close. That's it. So what it does, it will close the whole file, and it will what it does is it will just show you data. Now let me call this here get file data, which is on load of this you will be getting some data. So which is the info, we have just created new path, new line, read each and every line, a line is added to your list item, right? And you just close it finally. So this is your very simple part which you have gained. Let me close this up so that you know it should not affect your file, right? And let me run this up now. So my current web part name is my data web part. So initially we have done something called my info web part, right? Now we'll add 2 more data web parts, right? So that we can see the difference here. So admin here, right? Let me go to info institute again, right? So yeah, so what we'll do, we'll add 2 more web parts here. Let me just go back to site pages, right? Edit page here, right? So now we have got spaces here. Let me click on add web part here, right? Okay, okay, sorry, it got my web parts. Let me go to custom here. Now can you see my new one, which is data web part, got deployed here, so I can use them. So let me click on add. So when you click on add at first time itself, right? So we just added it. So can you see here, world, tea, cup, everything is shown here, right? So in the same way, let me add one more web part at this side so that we can just compare these things, right? Which is my data web part, and add it up. Someone got disconnected. Okay, let me just stop editing. Let's go back to something called browse and just say info institute. So now here, can you see can you see here that yeah, okay, let me give one more password to her. So here what we have done is we have just created two different web parts, but we are reading from a static file here, right? We are reading from static file. So now let me open the file again, right? And we'll just say something like tea cup and some just say some tea, just say some, and let me save this and close this, and let me refresh this. Can you see here? So the data is being added to your web part dynamically. It's complete dynamic way where you are getting, right? Again, yes, I'm not able to hear you. Can you just unmute your, you don't need to unmute actually, you should be able to hear my voice. Can you do one thing, Lakshmi? Can you just exit your team viewer and log in again? Exit your team viewer, right? And try to log in again, so that you know. Yeah, exit and use the same credentials which I have given you, right? And you can come back again. Right, give me a second, guys.
Srinath, are you there? Hello?
Yeah, sorry guys, I just got a call from I just got an office US call. Sorry. Hello?
Yeah,
Yeah, can you guys hear me now?
I can see you.
Okay, fine. So Trupti, Lakshmi, are you guys in? Sorry, I just got a call and suddenly. Yeah, fine, sure. Sure, let me.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, fine, sure. So we were in dynamically adding some things here, right? So any doubt in there again?
No?
Okay, fine. So in the same way, when we delete something like this, let me delete some cup here, and let me save this up, right? I have only world, tree and tea. Close this window and refresh it. You can see these things, right? So it is completely dynamic here. So but here what we are doing is we are, you know, uh, again these things will work as it is, right? There won't be any problem here. Again, when I do some sum, anyways, what it does is it'll give me the sum again, right? Not a problem. It'll give me the sum, and these web parts will will be accumulated as it is. Oops. Okay, why I'm getting duplicate? Okay, fine, I understood. Fine. So till here what I'll show you why we are getting again and again this one, because what we are doing is we are simply adding the items. So before adding any item, fresh items, what we have to do is we have to clear the items. Fine. Guys, one second. I'm getting again the office call. One sec. Give me 1 minute. Hello. Yeah, sorry guys, I just got
Yeah.
one more call. Some server support is going on, and I know things are not okay in office, right? Fine, not a problem. So here, what we have done is, okay, fine. So what we have done is, we have till now we have seen it dynamically, and why it is printing again and again. So let me give one more value here. You can see one more time it will be printing. See, right? So why it is printing again and again is, so in logic itself what we have done is, we are just getting the data, and we are adding the list box continuously, right? We are not clearing it out. So let me clear it out once, right? Let me clear this. So how to clear is like, so before doing anything, let me just go here and just say dot items dot clear. So that every time you come back and want to get the fresh data, we'll be getting some fresh data. Just rebuild it, and let me say run it up. Say admin here. Info institute will go to our page. Info institute here. So yeah, so anyways, we got the first set of this. Let me do some operation here. 23 and some 545 and sum it up. So now you can see only one, right? Because every time we are refreshing data, what we are doing is, we are just clearing it out, and we are doing now. Till now what we have seen is, now can you see, whenever we are adding something from file directly, right, it is maintaining in each and every web part, it is maintaining the same thing. Like we just did something called t. After that, let me add something called cup here. Save here and close this, refresh this page. Right, you got the same value here. Now, which means we are actually working, we are keeping a data at one place, and we are making each and every web comment, because you can use this web part in any page, right? We have just used in info institute. You can use in any page under corp IT collection, because with this sharepoint.net we have connected to this complete site, which means for this complete site, this web parts will be available, right? You can use this in any of the page under your corporate collection, right? Now let us see. Now we'll move one step ahead. Now we'll just see how to add data from SharePoint itself, right? I have this data. Now what I want to do is, I want to add something directly from SharePoint. So that will take up now, because you have, so till now what we have seen is, we have seen something called static and views and different operations. At this level we have seen something which is getting the data part, which is very important in real time. Like we will be working on web parts, mainly on dynamic things, which again, these are dynamic things which are happening. These are dynamically loaded from courses here, right? And we have done our own web parts dynamically. Now let me give some provision here, where you can add some items directly from SharePoint. Fine. So how to do that? Now let us go back to the same control ASCX again, right? So let us add one text box here, which is what item you want to add here. Let me give something called text box in here, right? Which is text box here, which is text box 1, and let me give something called button here. So let me call it as something add item, right? Add item. So whenever you add item, it will automatically go, and it should add item to your text file or document, and it should be automatically rendered here. Let us see how it will done, right? So here, so let's go to event of this. Double click on this, I'll be getting an event. Right now let me write some code here, which is, let me say I want first always try to use exception handling, because it's very important. If you learn .NET, you will be getting all these things again, right? Not to worry. So now previously what we have done is we have done something called reader, right? So we have opened this document in a read mode. We were reading it. Now what we are trying to do is we are trying to write something into this file. So let us see how. Right, so for that you have to use something called stream writer. Right, let me take this up. Writer is equal to some null. Right, and so path will be same again, because file path is not changing here, right? And let me just copy that file path here. And now let us instantiate our file writer is equal to, yeah, we have to take file dot append. We have to open the file in append mode, right? So I'll just say append and I'll say lstr path. So it will open our file in append path, and the file path is this. So this will be pointing to now info path, right? So now let me take something called some string here, string lstr item. So item is, you will be entering in text box 1, right? Dot text, right? This will be your item. And now let me check whether if this item is not if it is not null, I mean if you are not providing anything, it is waste of time to add, right? This is one check. And another check is if my lstr item is trim not equal to some, if it is not a null value, if you are not giving anything, I don't want to enter anything, right? Now if everything is same, so what I want to do is I want to write it lobgwriter dot which is write line. We have something called write line here, right? And I'll write something called lstr item, which is this, right? So we have created a writer pointing to this path, right? And we have created whatever we are giving in text box, I want to append that to this file. So we just wrote something, I don't want to append anything which is null, and I wrote this one, right? And I'll write finally to close that, finally to close this one, which is lobj here, in this case writer not equal to null, right? Just say lobj writer dot close. Fine, so we just wrote some piece of code here just to so this part will append the data whatever you are adding into your file. Now so once you add, what you have to do, you have to call this function again, get fill data, because once we add again we have to refresh that, right? So in finally itself just call this data. That's it. Now we have done something which is we had it will show you by default, it will show you whatever the data is here, it will show you that data here, and we gave an option for end user to add more items if you want, right? We can also provide delete item, but it will be same again. Don't we don't have to get into there. Just one operation here is enough, which is we'll be checking on how to add data. So let me rebuild this. It's building up now. Let us see what happens here. Okay, let me run this up. So here you can see it is deleting two files, right? Can you see here? Because we have created two web parts, right? So that's why it is deleting two web parts, my info web part, my data web part, and it will add again the whole feature again, right? Let me say admin here. Let's go back to the page. Let me go to info institute. It is still loading it. It's loaded here. Okay, so under info institute we'll be checking out let me close this up, right? You got the default items, and here you can see you have got some option to add item. So let me just say something like some line like office. I just want to give office 123, let us say, right? I just want to add. Now see here, I said data will be consistent, which means when I'm adding it here, which means I am touching the common file, right? which means the data should be rendered here and even here, right? Let us see what happens. When I add item, right? Okay, it added up directly here. Wait a minute. Let me check what we have done here. Okay, it added in a file in directly here, right? Okay, just do one thing. Let us just give a small change to our info institute. So we have got this. Let me just close it up, and before writing this, let me add a line here, which is, let me write line here, one more line, because we need some one more line here, right? So write line and then write line. So let's go back to document here. Let us say we don't have this, we just delete, right? Delete up here, right? Let's close this up, rebuild this, and again start it.
So what does that line do? That
Right line, it'll enter one line. I mean, so you have seen that appended the file directly, right? So office, what did is let me open that file again once this page loads. Let me open that. So what happened is, so we try what we have done is, when we try to write file here, anyways we are writing line and we are appending to that file, right? So basically my cursor is here, can you see this? Which means it will append a line here itself, it won't go to the next line. So that's why I made a write line, which means it will go and write something, and again it will add some more lines. You understood now? What I have done is, I'm just writing, I'm creating a new line, which means I'm creating new line and I'm asking next line to print in the next row, not in the same row, right?
okay.
Okay, yeah. Let us see what happens now. Let's go back to info institute here. It should not give us spaces in between lines, but let us see. Not a problem. So these things will happen anyways during. Let me select the same office 123 and add item. Okay, now so it got added in the same here, right? And here, so why it is only refresh in this part and not here? But if I refresh my page, you can see in both, right? Because initially we are working on only one web part, right? And which is true. Even here, if you change something in, if you delete something in here, it won't affect directly here. If you go to the, if it will be affected, but if you go to that library, you can see the change, right? In the same way here, data is there in both the web parts, but when you refresh it, you will be getting loading it, right? The same way, let me add some green. Sometimes both will be refreshed anyways, right? Sometimes, see, it is appending one space, I told you, right? It is appending one space here, not a problem, right? It just got refreshed here again. So whenever you go to the same page again where you have different page and you have this web part in different page, there it will be affected in this. Now let us go and see our file, what happened to our file. If you see our file, everything will be loaded here, right? Whatever you are adding from page, it will be appended there, right? So that's what it is happening. Now you understood why we wrote write line. So the problem was, it was cursor was here, that's why we did. Now let us do one thing. Let me remove this again, the code of line write line. I don't want to confuse you here. Let me just remove. You don't have to write every time write line, right? But instead of that, what I'll do, I'll keep my cursor here. I'll just delete these things, right? I'll just say enter. So my cursor is here now. Let me close this. So I have the same piece of code which I have developed before. No right line, right? And let me run this app. Deleting the files, adding and deploying the solution. So it will add the feature. Let me know here, and let's go back and see. So within the page, go back to Info Institute here. Sorry. Right, so we have till cup because we have added. So let me add some Office 123 again, like add item. Now you will see it in separate, right? Let me just click on refresh so that it will be refreshed, right? Let me give something called green here, add item. It will be added directly here and you won't see anything being added here, and you will refresh and it will be added, right? So in the same way this works in all components. Now let us do one thing. Let us see whether this component can be added or changed in a different page. So let's go back to corp IT collection again. So we were working in Info Institute, right? Let's go and check on web part sample. Let's see whether we can access those components here, right? Okay, there are so many things here. Let me let us go and change these things. How can you do that? You can just click on edit page, right? Everything will be edited here, right? Or we have just kept save and close. Okay, we have already done something in this page. Let's keep this page as this. Let me go back to corp IT collection, right? And let us create a fresh page which is blank, and new page, new site. Okay, let me create some blank site again to get some I'll say patch maintenance, some page here, and I'll just give the same URL here with no space. I'll create it up. Right, so these are again are blank page again, right? Let's go back to site actions, edit page, and here you have add web part. Click on add web part, right? You will be getting custom again. Yeah, you can see here, right? So it will go to each and every site you are here, but you cannot see the list. Can you see here? Because that lists and libraries and pictures were created on certain site under one Info Institute site, so that's why it won't be shared to shared across the sites. But custom web part is something which we have shared to the complete corp IT collection itself, so that's why we are able to see this. Let me click on add here, and we got this. Stop editing, right? You can see the same thing in here. Let me go and add one more thing here, like some red. Let me call add an item, right? It is been added to red now. You can see here. Let's go back and see here, right? It's red been added here. Now let's go back to corp IT collection again, and let's go back to Info Institute. Let us see whether it's been updated or not. Now you can see here, right? So the data is maintained consistently. Now in the same way, if you open up your notepad, it will be added. Fine. So this is how we work with web parts when you want to maintain some data at one place and do these things. And again, if you know how to communicate with data, you can do anything now, right? Even I can click on some item, right? I can delete that, right? I can click on if you want, you can also allow this list to click on multiple items too. We can do that again. So everything is possible once you, yes please. So whatever we do to one site, exactly, no, we are not doing anything to site here, Drupti. We are doing to web part, right? What we are doing is we are maintaining one data or one set of data at one file, right? And what we are doing is this web, we have created web part which is accessing our data here. That's it. It doesn't depends on site. It may be under any site, right? But it doesn't depend on that site. But what the dependency is on data, right? Data, and on the data, yeah, okay, on the data we have created a web part, right? Even these web parts are exclusive, they are not same, but when they both go and trigger on the same data, they'll be getting the same thing. That's why they show consistent data, fine. But it is not because of different pages, right? So that is how we actually work with web parts across, using .NET, and how we connect them, how we actually bind the data here and all, right? Even if you open these things now exclusively, we were just running this from .NET, right? Let me close this. Okay, let me close this .NET once. Let me, where is, yeah, let me close this .NET, and we'll open our site exclusively, and we'll see whether those parts work directly or not, right? Okay, fine, let's open up our site now directly from here, which is some, go to next detail, which is some yeah, again here. So here, let's go back to Info Institute, right? Let us see what happens here. So now what we have, error in page cannot be displayed or improved because, okay, there was some error in that. Can you see here? Show error details. Control cannot be imported because could not found, not registered. So what is happening here? Let me go back to core party collection again. Go back to batch maintenance. Control visual imported a type information. Share could not be found or registered as share. Okay, it seems we have cleared it up from there, which is not correct. We have to deploy it again. Right. So you understood what has happened here? So what happened is, when I closed my Visual Studio, what I did was, I just cleared my buffer and I closed it. So when you clear something, what happens? It will delete your web parts from your site, right? So that's why it was not showing, because the web part itself is not there. That's why it says web part error, because the web part itself is not there. Then how can it show you data, right? So let me open that file again. Where is that? Info share project, right? Solution here, and let me close this site. Let me just go and see the deploy part here. Okay, just rebuild this solution. Okay, now I won't click in start here. Sorry. Okay, Tatvi, you can leave now. Anyways, I'll share this video, right? Not a problem. Yeah, you can leave. Sure. No problem. Okay, fine. Sure. Bye. Sure. Okay, so let me not click here. Let me just open this again from browser again, right? Let me open this from browser again. Let us see what happens now again. Right, see, again it is saying the same thing. Deployment is started again, right? Because previously what happened, it just removed that, and I closed it from my Visual Studio. Now I'm running it from here, and okay, admin, right? Let me go to Info Institute once and let us see what happens here. Okay, now you can see here I haven't executed it, right? Because if I execute it directly, I won't be getting this. So I just build it. It deployed everything here. It deleted and deployed everything, and it just now I can see this. Let's go back and see whether it is same thing again here. Batch maintenance. I can see the same, right? And let us see if I add some more things here. Some yellow add item. It added my item. I go back to corp IT collection and Info Institute. Yes, it is there. Fine. So that's how we work with these things, and we'll see we'll see the deployment part again for different things when we move on with different pages again, right? And we'll see at wherever it is needed. We'll see with how we can connect with .NET and how we can actually do deploy things from .NET, right? So till this part, do you guys have any doubt in here, Lakshmi and Mohammed?
No, just I think I need to practice on that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I hope you'll be getting some doubts on code here, right? Don't worry if you're getting any doubt in any part of code, just ask me. You can just
Sure.
right. You can ask me anything. You can ask me,
Okay.
or you can try out with one thing. I can help you out with one new web component, web part project, right? I can help out writing different things. Just get on with idea, right? We'll do that, right? Offline, not a problem. Fine.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, not a problem in that. And even in future, even when we take up from wiki blogs, RSS and some more things, we'll try to connect with .NET, so that when we enter into the actual developing part, maybe you'll be using much of .NET, but it will be very good if you also work in SharePoint using .NET, because you can do much more than SharePoint, right?
Right, right.
Okay, Lakshmi, you have any doubt over here till here? I'll share you the video. You can just go through. Let me just stop this video, pause this video for some